Okay, so let's be honest. Um, who doesn't love that first perfect sip of coffee in the morning?
Right, it's the best.
Like seriously, it's like the best part of my day sometimes. But um have you ever like actually stopped to think about where those beans come from?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a whole journey from the farm to our mugs, right?
Totally. And today we're going deep on that journey, like really deep. We're talking about the small scale farmers, the ones who are like the backbone of the coffee industry.
Yeah, these are the folks who are often family operations, putting in the real work, often facing challenges most of us wouldn't even think about.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today, this idea of like the hidden struggles of bringing that cup to your table. And to do that, we're going to Kenya, at least virtually.
That's right. We're tapping into this amazing interview with Mr. Waweru, an organic coffee farmer from Kenya. He shares his experiences in this really insightful video on the Organic Roasted Coffee-WALINEW YouTube channel.
So this interview was incredible. I mean, Mr. Wawero doesn't sugarcoat anything. He talks about how tough it is just to find buyers for their coffee. And like, this is their livelihood,
It's
right?
absolutely. It's their income, their way of life.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's easy to forget when you're just at the store picking up a bag of beans.
Totally. And it's not just about lost profits when they can't sell their harvest. It impacts their families, their communities. It's a domino effect.
Yeah, and it really highlights this larger systemic issue of market access in the coffee industry. These small farms, they're often at the mercy of much bigger players who control the prices.
It's like David and Goliath out there. And as if that wasn't enough on top of struggling to find buyers, they're also on the front lines of climate change.
Which is something we hear a lot about. But for farmers like Mr. Wewero, it's not some abstract concept, it's their daily reality.
Totally. He talks about how unpredictable weather, crazy pests, and soil problems are messing with their yields like big time.
And that translates to lower income for farmers and potentially even higher prices or shortages for us coffee drinkers.
Talk about a reality check.
It is. It really makes you appreciate that every cup of coffee represents this complex web of global connections.
For sure. And Mr. Wayru also gets into another big challenge, the financial strain of it all.
Yeah, he talks about wanting to go organic, which is obviously better for the environment and can often get a better price, but
There's always a bus. But is
it's way more expensive than conventional farming.
like he was saying, organic certification is this whole rigorous process that's really tough for small farms to afford on top of everything else.
It's a real catch-22 because in the long run, organic farming is often more sustainable and better for the environment. But that upfront investment can be a huge barrier.
Especially when they're already struggling to get loans just to cover basic farming costs. It's like a vicious cycle.
It is, and sadly it doesn't end there.
Eh.
Mr. Werro also talks about the lack of basic infrastructure being a major obstacle.
Oh man, this part was tough to hear. He described how bad the roads are and how transporting their coffee is a gamble because you never know if the truck will make it.
It's hard to imagine not even being able to rely on getting your product to market.
Right. And it's not just the roads he mentioned, limited access to electricity and even clean water, which makes processing the coffee way more difficult and expensive.
It's easy to take those things for granted, but they have a huge impact. And it all contributes to this cycle of poverty that's so hard to break free from.
You know what really struck me, though? It's his resilience, despite all of these challenges. Mr. Wawero is still so passionate about producing high-quality organic coffee.
That really comes through in the interview. It's
Yeah.
inspiring to see that level of dedication.
It really is. So the next time you're enjoying your morning coffee, take a moment to think about Mr. Wawero and the thousands of other farmers like him.
Think about the journey those beans made, the challenges they overcame. It might just change how you see that cup of coffee.
And maybe even inspire you to seek out brands that support small farms and sustainable practices. Because at the end of the day, it's about more than just the coffee, right? It's about the people behind it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.